Hello again and welcome to the Graphic 45 YouTube channel. My name's Elizabeth and today I'm going to be working with the glorious Mon Amour collection to upcycle an advent calendar box that I didn't get time to decorate last month, so that I thought I would make a house of love using this beautiful amorous collection. It's very much like the old black and white films. There are some beautiful images and there is so much to work with when you fussy cut out the direct images or the fonts. You've got shades of graphite black and cream, and then this very romantic blush pink, and everything, as always with Graphic 45, works perfectly together. So I'm going to be using these deco designed papers to decorate the outside of the box, and then I'm going to use some of the smaller images to add some interest to each one of the 24 advent alcoves. This is a beautiful set of roses, perfect for your romantic Valentine's cards, but we can also use this as mini doll's paper. I've also got a set of these stickers so that I can incorporate some of the letters and the smaller side panels. And because I want the scale to work within the smaller boxes, I've also got a set of exactly the same papers in the very useful 8x8. This is the advent calendar box that my sister gave me to decorate in early December, and you may run out of time, but I certainly didn't run out of ideas, so I thought I would use this for a all-round keepsake to house some of my memorabilia and some of my mum's keepsakes. So this is quite an individual project. I'm not going to be able to give you dimensions for absolutely everything, but hopefully by watching the video you might be able to pick up some tips on how I work and how you could be upcycling something similar. So I'm going to begin by decorating the back. I probably won't keep the windows in here, but I'm going to use some of the 12x12 papers to add some interest to the back, and then it will be a matter of measuring out each one of these boxes and then building up the pattern of how I want the House of Love to look. I've got a couple of sheets of the 12x12 paper. It's a very pretty pattern, but I'm going to take one 12x12 and part of the strip, and then just make sure that I've got the right dimensions by securing it with a little bit of tape, and then I'll have an extra bit here for the roof. Using a lightweight gel paste glue to add the papers, I decided to use the Heart's Desire and My Beloved. You can of course use gesso primer and cover the back here with some acrylic paint, but I wanted to make the most of the beautiful papers, so all I'm doing is adding a layer of the glue to the back of the board and then another layer to the paper as well, to make sure that they're really securely in place. Then I used a scalpel to cut away the excess paper and kept this to use for decorating later on. Luckily the Forever Mine in the 8x8 was the perfect size for the alcoves, and I had enough to cover each one, so this one sheet went a long way in decorating the overall piece. So I cut down the squares, I mounted them onto some matching black cardstock, and these will sit at the back of the mini boxes. It took me a little time to measure out each one of the boxes, but off camera I had a hand-drawn plan, and then I wrote all of the measurements to save me in the long run. And I also spent quite a lot of time inking each one of the edges, either with black ink or pink ink, just to finish off. Once the preparation was completed, it was a matter of laying out each one of the pieces before sticking them securely into each one of the small square alcoves. I prefer to use an everyday wet glue, but you can of course use red tape. It's entirely up to you. Now the smaller squares are in place, it was time to tackle the unusual shape. So it really was a matter of carefully measuring and then deciding on the pieces of paper. I particularly liked Precious One, and I used that as the larger black and white image in the bottom of the box. But each time I measured it, and then I inked the sides with the black or the pink ink, and then I laid it carefully into place. A lot of this project is about measuring and then preparing the pieces, but once you get into the swing of it and then you move on to the decorating stage, it's a very therapeutic way of decorating a home decor piece, and it's a very personal item. Once the backs of the boxes were complete, I moved on to using True Love for the side walls and Dearest Darling for the ceiling and the floor. To smarten up the front of the shelves, I decided to use some black ink. You can use paint again, but I found it easier to use the black ink. Making a project like this doesn't have to be expensive. You don't need to buy lots of new products, and of course the Mon Amour papers go a long way in decorating each one of the pieces. Having decorated the majority of the front of the box, I moved on to adding papers to the roof. So again, I cut down strips of paper, added some glue paste to the board and a little bit to the paper, and I went ahead and I decorated the eaves, and I added some extra trim using die cuts and the papers to cover the joins. I cut away the black and white border on the front sheet of the Mon Amour papers, and this came in handy to decorate the horizontal bars of the shelves. I really enjoy looking through the Graphic 45 papers and finding all of these small details, because it's things like this that really add to the finished effect of the project. It also makes making something like this pretty cost effective, because you can literally use every piece of the paper, and as crafters we enjoy using the scraps as much as the main artwork. I also fussy cut out one of the larger ladies to add to the side, but because I wanted to secure her in place and seal the papers to give me a little bit more longevity to the piece, I covered each one of the box pieces with some sealing wax. You can also use Mod Podge glue, anything to seal everything in place. The wax that I used also gives the finished look a slight sheen. Once it was decorated, it was time to start arranging the keepsakes. These include stamps and little bits and pieces that I've kept over the years. Here are some photos of the finished House of Love. It's nice to think that I've got somewhere pretty to house all my little keepsake pieces, and it's something that I can keep in my craft room throughout the year, not just as a Christmas advent. I look forward to seeing your creations with the stunning Mon Amour collection. Don't forget to share your makes in the official Graphic 45 Facebook group, and I look forward to creating with you again in the future. Bye bye for now.